This is the Sourced Podcast, where cold mornings, screaming bull elk, and bent rods turn into legends told. Hosted by Nate Zielinski and brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing, we go beyond tags and trophies, into the grind, the heartbreak, and the moments that keep us coming back for more. If it bugles, if it bites, if it lives wild, it's Sourced. Lock in.
Welcome to the Source Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Zielinski. You know, this podcast and all the Source Podcasts is officially brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing. So a huge thanks to Jiffy Ice Fishing for all you do in the ice fishing industry. But I tell you what, this episode, we have got an amazing guest. We got Miss Stef Hurt on the line. How are you doing, Stef?
I'm doing great. Today is a great day. Every day is a great day.
I love it. So you hear it right there. So today's episode, we are talking about all things, right? But the reason I really wanted to have on my good friend Stef here is to talk. I should back up. We had a podcast not too long ago about the concept of going into like every situation with confidence. And we were talking about how in the fishing world, if you're confident, you catch more fish. And if you're in a hunting situation, if you go in confident, you catch more fish or, get more animals and things like that. So it started with confidence, then it talked about being positive. And I was like, you know what? We need to have Stef on because when it comes to the world of positivity, you're it. Right? So that's why I made the call, but we're going to talk about all this kind of stuff. We're going to talk, industry inside out and being positive and full of it. And, we were just joking before you came on, you were laughing about like, I'm surprised you had me on. I'm not going to lie. When we first met a long time ago at the St. Paul Ice Show, I was a little standoffish. And here's the deal. I was a little scared of you. In all situations, I'm almost always the loudest person in the room. Right? And there's only a couple people that tend to drown me out, and they're both, on the other side. They're both female. So between you and my good friend Maggie Reese, when I'm in a room with you, I am no longer the loudest person. That's like my thing. I move a lot and I talk loud, and that's my thing. And when I'm around you, you're louder, and I get scared.
It just means that I have a higher level of ADHD than you.
There you go.
It's high definition.
There we go. All right, so Steph, to start it off, I know you tell the story all the time. I don't want to make this what it's all about, but I feel like your backstory is a huge part of who you are, the positive attitude, and the things that you've done. And I'm going to say first and foremost right now, my sister is going through a hard time in her life, and you have been incredible helping her through this. So we've been connecting a lot more than even normal. But I would love for you to start off. You're a badass, right? Like, you could say that. You could say you're a winner. You're one that sets the terms. And that's how I view you, right? And you can say you're not, but it doesn't matter because you can't control my thoughts. So in my head, you are that invincible person that you approach a situation, you approach anything, and you're like, I'm going to win. And you're so confident with it, you pull it off. So walk people through your backstory. I mean, you have beat everything.
Well, I try, but so when I was 24, I had my son, and 2 weeks after I had him, I found out that my dad had found out that he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And then 2 weeks after that, when I was at my son's 1 month checkup, I was begging and pleading with his doctor to look at a lump. And that's what started my journey. And I had found out that I was diagnosed with cancer with triple negative invasive ductal carcinoma. And so there I was with my father who was dying, and then being a new mom, which anyone that has kids could probably attest that is not an easy feat when you're going from, being responsible for this tiny human, and they don't even check to make sure that you're going to take care of it.
Right.
I just remember also like leaving the hospital, and they wanted to make sure that I put him in a car seat, but they didn't care about anything else. They never asked me if I planned on feeding him. They never planned on asking if I was going to change his diaper, nothing. And so, again, I was like, wow, I'm responsible for another human. Like, there's daddy's girl, there's like daddy girls, and I was a daddy's girl. Okay. And because I had 3 older brothers and I was the only daughter, And if I wanted to hang out with my family or my dad, and that's probably the reason why I'm so into hunting and fishing and everything outdoors, is because I wanted to be like I didn't struggle with gender identity or anything. I was just a Tom girl, and I wanted to hang out with him. But the cool part about my dad is he didn't make any exceptions for me.
Okay.
There was no exceptions.
If
I wanted to do the things, I had to be able to, like, there wasn't, because I was a girl, it wasn't like I didn't have to gut my own animals. Nope, there is no exceptions for you. There's not going to be that. And I remember at one point in time when I turned 16, I came out and there was a tire taken off of my car. And I was like, I need to go to work. And he's like, well, you better figure out how to get that tire back on the car and go to work. So like there was no exceptions for me. It was like no better time than the present to figure out how to change a tire, right? So that's the dad that I had. And I was never, and both of my parents really, like, I feel like my childhood, everyone talks about their childhood. And if I had to hang out, like the kids nowadays, if they hung out with me, they probably would have thought that I was poor. But man, I was the richest person. Yeah. I had an amazing childhood. I had, I grew up in a great home. And my parents were probably like that foundation of, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And that empowerment. That's really kind of where it came from. So back to the cancer story, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
Love it.
So then 24, freshly diagnosed with cancer. About 8 months later, my dad passes away. I was with him through all of his journey, and it was crazy because there was one point in time he had been hospitalized, and I'm going through cancer too. So I have no hair. I'm a total cancer patient. More than a few surgeries in. In fact, to be quite honest about it, I look like a 12-year-old boy because I'm not very tall the way that it is. And he had gone to the bathroom and the nursing staff had come in and I was laying in his bed and they like go back and look at the chart and they look at me and they look at the chart and his name was Stefan and I'm named after him. Yeah. So I think there was some confusion there and I was like, oh no, nope, you got the right room. I am not a 60-year-old male.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, when you talk about that as a struggle, man, I would even venture to say that even though I was the one battling or fighting for my life, I had the easier of the jobs because think about that from what that looks like from a mother's perspective, to have your husband and then your one and only daughter battling cancer at the same time.
I can't even imagine.
I don't think, like that goes against every theory of life that you've ever known because you're not supposed to put your kids in the ground. You're not supposed to. That's not the evolution of life. That's not the way it's supposed to go. And to be so torn of where you're supposed to spend your time. Yep. And my mom, I know, like I give her a lot of props and kudos because realistically, that's a sense of strength that I'm not sure that I even have it, but she's amazing.
Oh, that's crazy.
So then 2 years after that, then I got, after going through a lot of surgeries, chemo, I ended up having a local metastasization. So basically what that is it had come back, but it had come back in a different spot in the chest wall after having a bilateral mastectomy. And so there I was lacing up the boxing gloves again. And
just 2 years after the clearing of the first. Okay.
Yep. So then I was back in it again.
And you dominated both times.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that. It was a long run, and I have to tell you, anyone that's battling cancer, man, just get pissed off, fight back. Yeah. That's all it is. And I know, and I've talked to your sister about this. Is like it's all mind over matter, really. Yep. You got to just tell yourself it's just cancer. That's not a life sentence. By God, just like you're gonna go through hell, but that's a round trip ticket, right? Yep. Like, don't pack your shit. Don't live there. Don't move there. Yep. Just get your ticket, go through hell, and get the hell out. Yep. Like that's just go on, get.
And that's it.
I'm from Minnesota, so I'm already like cold to the core. So it takes a lot to melt this. So
I hear, and that's why you and I get so along because again, we wake up in the morning and you're just like, hey, it's going to be a good day, and I mean, it doesn't matter what's stacked against you. It's like, hey, no matter what it is, there's always things worse, right? And it just is what it is. I mean, no matter what the pain, the struggle, there's always something worse, right? So it's one of those deals that you just have to tell yourself that. And I mean, it's easier for some and that, but the mental focus, and that's, I mean, that's half the success that I have in the outdoors. Like, right, we're doing this podcast, right? Like, I wake up and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And you just make it happen. And so at the end of the day, hard work can outdo everything. And that can be mental and physical. And that's one of those things where it's at, And so, fast forward, you and I are at the St. Paul Ice Show. And I remember hearing your story for the first time. You were there, doing like a focus point for, women's treatment and cancer and all that. And I just heard your story and I'm like, man, she had a rough go, and at no point was it ever feel sorry for me. No point was it ever like I deserve something. You were like, I beat it, and I want to help other women through it. You know what I mean? And that's where I think it's just such an amazing journey that you've been on, and more so the story that you have to tell. And the reason I think that positivity is so important is we're going to talk about it and spin it for just confidence, things like that. But like, you could be going through a rough phase in life. You could have had a flat tire in your car and be grumpy, but like how you handle things is at the end of the day is what it's all about.
Sure. I've still to this day, I've mentored so many women across their journeys, and I'll tell anyone this because this is just life advice. Life is going to be 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And that's where your legacy is built. Yep. It's never going to be the things that happen. I have met some amazing individuals in my life from all different walks. And some of the most successful people that I have ever met are probably the most humbled and really spend their time with their successes giving back to people.
Yep.
And that's where your legacy is built. You're not going to be like when you're at someone's funeral, like, oh my God, they were a multimillionaire. Yep. Well, okay, great. But what did they do with it? What pictures tell that story? What's that dash in the middle all about? And that's where your legacy is built. This is how you react to it. Those are the stories.
No, then that's what it's all about. I love it. And I mean, just your energy. I mean, just talking this recent story, right? Talking to my sister. I mean, just your energy. She's like, man, that girl's a badass. And it's just because you go into it, you're like, hey, be positive. Like, you got to beat it. Just like it comes through just in your words right now. And I think that's a huge part of it. And I mean, from what I've known you, right, which, it's somewhat short-lived, for a decade, I've probably known you now, but within that, like, you'll jump into anything with confidence. Like, literally, we did a seminar or we were talking at a show, and you're like, I can do that. And I'm like, oh, you done that before? She's like, no, I have no idea. I'm like, well, you sure sound like it? Like, yeah. I mean, you'll tackle a house project. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to wire a house. I'm going to be an electrician. I'm like, hey, Stef, do you know how to do that? And you're like, well, I've never done it before, but I watched a YouTube video once. But like, if I talk to you from a distance, I literally think that you have done this your entire life because you tackle everything head on.
It's a genetic deformity. It's called I was born with the how hard could it be?
I mean, exactly. But look at where it's taking you.
I do have a home renovation project going right now. It's just so funny that
I can't imagine, right? Like, you sent me a picture once where you're like drywall. I'm like, you know how to do that? You're like, oh no, definitely not. But
no,
like,
I right now actually I'm taking a one bathroom house and turning it into a 3-bathroom house, which is like a whole series. And it's definitely teamwork, and Matt and all the friends and everyone coming over to help out with it, and this, that, and whatever. And everyone just kind of owns pieces and portions, and you call in the people that you know that know a little bit more than you do. But yeah, after I had I think I'd even made a post a long time ago about finishing my basement, and I was drywalling, and someone's like, oh my God, you know how to drywall? Can I hire you? And I was like, yeah, you can write cash right there in that pay to line, because I I'm not gonna lie. In some respects, it might look like Helen Keller did it, but it'll be fine with enough sanding. We can get through
There
it.
you go. There you go. I love it. So again, you tackle everything with that attitude, and I think that's what's led to a lot of your success in the outdoors, fishing and hunting, because you're just like, absolutely, I can do this, and you accomplish it. I mean, the amount of times that you've texted me from a tree stand, and again, like not saying that you're a girl and you can't do it, but I'm like, who you're there with? You're like, I'm by myself. Like, you jump into everything, and I think that's the coolest part. And I have like a list of notes that I want to talk to you about, but I want to spin this real quick because it made me think of this. So in the past month, we've had a ton of like husbands, like brothers and dads talking about getting females in the outdoors more, right? So they were just like, I want my daughter to hunt. I want my wife to hunt. And one of the biggest things I think I like to talk about is when you're introducing this more so to the female that's getting into it, like jump into it, like head over heels. So I think a lot of times, a husband will really try to baby the situation for his wife, and like it almost makes it weird on all aspects, and you like jump right in there. And I think by that enthusiasm, everybody around is like, oh, we're doing this, and you learn. And when all of a sudden you learn, it's like you're hunting with your best friend and your buddy, and it's not like I'm guiding this other person, this young person. And I'm doing that with my kids right now, trying to get them more involved to where they're doing it. And it's hard because my dad nature wants to step in, and I want to like carry stuff for him and do stuff for him. But even my kids are like, let me do it. Like, I got it. And I think that that's a big part of it. So where and I work with a lot of females in the outdoors, and we just get this question a lot. Like, hey, I want to start hunting. How do I get involved? Or how do I get my wife more involved? And that's where I think that jump in and like, hey, doesn't matter, boy, girl, whatever. Like, we're just going hunting together. And I think if you treat with that aspect, it helps. But I'd love your take on that.
So I've seen this, and I can't tell you how many times I've been at a boat access. And anyone that's been at a boat access knows that there are people that can back up a boat, and there are people that cannot back up a boat. Which I can't tell you how many times I've put my truck in park and gotten out and walked over to a truck. And it always inevitably is a man that is yelling at a woman that is trying to back up a trailer. And I have had crosswords and accesses. I'm surprised the cops haven't been called, because at that, like, when you see a woman that's defeated, like, I can't stand by in that. I don't have the ability to stand by and watch a woman feel defeated because she's expected to do something that she knows nothing about. And maybe maybe she didn't have an active father that taught her how to back up a trailer. That is very, very possibly the case. But when you start yelling, everything goes down. Like females' emotional responses is to shut down when they're going to get yelled at by someone that they love and care about, right? So don't do that. Like, there's my advice for any man that is asking, like, hey, how do I get my daughter involved? How do I get my wife involved? You gotta expect that there's going to be errors. There's going to be stuff's going to break. Shit's going to break. But it's all about how you respond to it. Remember, like, I just went back, like, I kind of like prefaced this entire podcast with like, life is going to be 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react.
100%.
And so I've backed up trucks and trailers for individuals, and I've been like, no, I'm going to walk you through how to do this. And I've literally, I've had crosswords with their spouses that are standing there screaming in the boat. And I was just like, my God, why? I don't understand why. But I've also had it too, where, you do much more by being encouraging. I've also had a bunch of guys stand at an access and doubt my ability to back it up. And it's been hilarious because I've backed my boat in, auto-deployed the trolling motor, ran my remote, scooted it out into the bay, anchored it or like spot locked it, drove away, parked the truck, came back, and they're just sit there and stare at you. So instead of encouraging me and saying, hey, like, wow, that was awesome, man, you're freaking awesome. No, you were waiting for me to fail. Don't do that. Don't be the person that extends the hand to say, hey, be that person. Do you know how to do this? Has anyone ever showed you how to do this? Let me show you how to do it first. that's how you get them involved.
And that's what I love. And that's kind of where I was hoping it would go. Because I think if the person, guy, girl, doesn't matter, that is, has knowledge in the sport, fishing, hunting, whatever, the, technique, whatever, and then the person learning the sport, whoever that is, if they all give and take, right? So the person teaching teaches to the best of their ability. And honestly, you have to learn from the person you're with, because the new people coming in, they might have new aspects, new concepts, teach you how to communicate, this and that. But that's where I think it's great. So I think my encouragement, and I tell this to people all the time, and it can be new outdoorsmen of anything. And I'm like, hey, just jump in there. I think when you're really standoffish and you're kind of like waiting, it's not as good. But I think if you just jump in, you're like, hey, I'm excited about this. I want to learn. Let's do it. And I think when you have that attitude, that's really where I was going with it, because that's where it shines. And that's where you are like, let's do it. Jump in.
Right. I got questions. I got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing more beneficial than free education, right?
Yep.
Like, ask the questions. And to be honest about it, the person that you're asking the questions to probably feels a little bit honored. Like,
yep.
Oh, they're reaching out to me for advice. Of course I'm going to give it to you. Like, hey, if I wanted to do this, how would I go about doing it?
Yeah.
Nope. Why not?
I love it. I think that's a big part of it. So, other questions within kind of that before we jump on to this next topic here. So, females in the outdoors, we're talking about jumping in, things like that. What's your favorite, I want to say leadership, but I don't know if that's the right word, right? Working with females in the outdoors and all the programs and everything that you've done, like, what's your favorite part of it about getting more women in the outdoors, or a single moment type thing?
So, I'm also one of the head coaches for youth shooting sports.
Okay.
I don't even think you knew that.
I didn't know that.
And it has been so rewarding for me. And I'll talk to any of the little girls or high school age girls. It's like, hey, you're gonna go for a trap, and they just kind of look at you like, ugh.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not comfortable with that. Or, oh, my parents don't hunt, or whatever. But here's what my take is on it. I feel like every woman, young lady, should feel comfortable and confident around a gun.
Yep.
Period. There's a level of confidence that goes with that just basically, and I've talked about this before, especially like if you're a conceal and carry person, you would never know the difference between when I'm carrying and when I'm not, because I have the confidence that I'm walking around like I am carrying.
Yep.
And it goes hand in hand, right? Like, so if you can walk around with that confidence, no one's going to mess with you, because you're not prey, right?
Yep.
They won't. And I don't say that to be boastful, but if I was to be walking in a crowd with a bunch of other women, I would be lower down on the list. We'll say that. Yeah. But when I have a young lady that steps on into the trap line, and she maybe start out the season, she'll maybe hit 3 out of 25.
Okay.
But when I get to the end of the season and they're getting perfect scores,
that's awesome.
When they come off the line and they're that shit-eating grin that they just did it, and they set their gun on the rack, and they come over and they just are like waiting, and I give them a hug, and I was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for like stepping outside of that comfort zone and doing, like, you did the damn thing.
Yep.
And that piece of it, and just to know that, they might have walked in there with no experience,
yep,
and to walk off just like a boss babe. Heck yeah. I'm your biggest cheerleader. Like, that's awesome. What do you need?
I love it.
And I love it.
I love it. All right. Fishing, hunting, right? So you got ice fishing, you got fishing on the boat. Let's see, you got big game hunting, you got bird hunting. What is your favorite outdoor sport between fishing and hunting? Or specifically? And you only get one.
I would probably have to go with anything big game, mostly because, like saying the mountains are calling and I must go.
Yep.
Even if you go on an elk hunt and say you come home empty-handed, man, you can't beat those views, and you can't beat like the sanctuary feeling or that just the serenity that goes with it.
Yep.
There's just something about fresh air, the early mornings, watching the sunrise, maybe possibly a bugle in the background. That the views, even if you didn't get any groceries, right? Like it's still worth it. It's still worth it to be in God's country and just kind of like step away a little bit. I think there's so much to gain from the mountains.
I love that. So you've been able to experience a lot, right? Fishing, hunting, all that kind of stuff. You've traveled around, hunted a lot, and that's why I was asked that question. I think it's a good perspective to kind of see what people say, what they think, and I think every experience means something different to each individual person and things like that. So I think that's huge. So okay, with your positive attitude, energy, how you make of it, I want to hear your worst. We'll call it hunting experience because you picked that, but it can be fishing experience, right? I want to know about like a time you've been scared, a time when something completely failed, broke down, right? I want to hear the disaster story of the outdoors.
I have one that is fueled. It's nightmare juice.
Let's hear it.
So I was after this. I was probably just shy of a 200 class whitetail, and I had time into him. Oh God, did I have time? I had tracked him for going on like 3 years, and I'd watched him. I was dropping, Big and J, which herd health and putting all of that out and doing all that, and I was starting to pattern this buck, and he was coming into my spot, but he was coming in too late. After shooting hours, I was like, I gotta readjust here, and so I put in a different stand, or I'd found a different location, put in a stand, and I was like, man, I'm gonna use an ultralight climber. Yep. So went out, and I kind of surveyed the area a little bit, and it was rough. It was rough part of the woods, and it had a lot of fallen timber, and a storm had gone through, but it was great. And I was suspected that it might even be a bedding area. Nonetheless, so found me a straight tree, trimmed up all the branches to run the climber up. And it was about an hour before, shooting hours ends. And I'm watching him come, and I can see him, and I'm just, like when you can start hearing your heart in your ears, and you just because this is where preparation meets opportunity, right? Like all of the things are going to come together. And it was windy, and when you're in a stand and the stand starts to rock you and lullaby you, and you're just like, man, this is great. Like, this is fantastic. And the sun was setting, and it was warm on my face, and I see my buck, and I'm just like, oh, just absolutely almost convulsing. And I'm pulled back, and I'm waiting, and I'm literally waiting for him to take, I need him to pass a tree and come out about 3 feet. And this wind gust comes, and there was a deadhead, a widowmaker. Yeah. Top comes crashing down. Buck ducks, does this rear. I didn't even fling an arrow, right? And it ducks, and it rears and just tails out, gone. And I'm just sitting there what the hell just happened? And you're when you you've been this. I know every archer has had this happen, where you're shaking and you have to get your bow back. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to calm myself down. I was like, he'll come back. He'll come back. It's fine. It's he's going to come back. I stayed there till well into the darkness, and he never came back. So then I'm trying to get down, and it's dark, and I'm trying to run my climber, and I get hung up. And I cannot get down off the tree. And I'm circling around this freaking tree. I'm going up, down. And by this time, I'm already just ready to start screaming. And I'm trying to, I just finally I was about to become a beaver and just chew my way through that tree and just like fling myself out of the tree just to like get it over with because I was just done. Well, I finally get down and I'm like just recapping everything that my target buck came in. He was within 17 yards and I didn't get my shot. And I played the wind so perfectly, but the wind is what got me.
Yep.
That got that Widowmaker to come down. It was just like all of the things like, how does this happen? Like this doesn't even happen. Well, I had to get to my 4-wheeler to get back up to, so this is on like my family property.
Okay.
And back on the farm. And I'm going to get to my 4-wheeler as I'm like quietly got my headlamp red light on. And I would only turn it on for a little bit, walk, whatever, turn it off. And all of a sudden, I hear a hiss.
There he is.
No.
no.
Nope. If you've ever been walking in pitch black and you hear a hiss, and you don't necessarily know where it comes from, and you know that it's low, it's a skunk.
Oh.
I got fucking sprayed. Okay, right? Okay, so I get sprayed by a skunk this night, too. And it's right, like, I'm right by the 4-wheeler.
I don't have
know
those issues. We don't have skunks like that out where
I don't know if I parked, like, by its den or, like, I have no idea. I just, like, it was pitch black. I'm like, what? And I hear a hiss, and, like, most people don't even know that skunks hiss before they'll spray. They like, it's their warning sign. And I was like, oh, God. And I just got sprayed, and then I started puking. So I'm puking, and I'm trying to, like, get on the 4-wheeler. I'm trying to get it started so I can, like, get away from the stench. And then as I'm, like, going through the woods driving, I have to stop to finish puking. I get up to the house. My mom won't even let me come in her house, because I smell like a skunk. There is not enough Victoria's Secret stinky shit to take the smell of skunk away. It does not happen. I smelled like a skunk for like a week. I remember thinking like baking soda baths. It was ridiculous. And I had to throw away my entire hunting suit because I couldn't get it out.
Yep.
And I was just like, I remember, and then if there's like the oil gets in your nose, even like I'd puked so many times, I was just like, that was the worst night of my life. One of them. That was worse than chemo.
That's a good hunting story. Yeah.
The emotional damage. That's what it caused.
I believe.
And I did not get that buck. Come rifle opener, the first day of rifle opener, the neighbor got him.
So at least you got to see him, and really like taught you that it wasn't yours.
And I was once you. There's always like a neighbor rivalry, right?
Oh yeah. Well, say that's like you can hear it in your voice. I mean, you're Minnesota. Like it's that thing. You go all over that everywhere. Non-Western, you have that whole neighborhood thing
for sure. And there's the property owners that are brown. It's down. They're just grocery shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are interior decorators like myself. That if I practice herd health and herd management, and would like to take at least set the standard for everyone in the neighborhood to take at least a Pope and Young class.
Yep.
And it was interesting because after he had shot it, I basically sent him trail cam photos of catalogs. And I said, hey, I just am going to say this. I'm going to say it as politely as possible. I just want you to know that buck didn't get to that size by accident.
Yeah.
It takes time for, like, if you're going to continue to shoot little bucks, that's all you're ever going to get is little bucks. But you got to let the little bucks grow into big bucks. And to be honest with you, I would not. He had his son with him in the stand, and he got to harvest that amazing whitetail with his son, and I wouldn't have taken that from him.
Yeah.
That is a moment that hopefully is a core memory for them. forever. But again, like there's obviously property rivals, especially on when it comes to whitetails, at least. Just because they are sitters.
That's it. It's pretty funny. When I hunt Wisconsin, you definitely see that a lot. All the neighbors sending pics, and more just the stress of it. Like, people are more worried about what the neighbor shoots than what they actually shoot, because it's more just like, what's going to happen to it? Is that buck alive? I mean, it's crazy. So, all right. So that night was bad luck, right? As like spinning back to the cancer thing, right? So I heard somebody say to my sister, like, "Oh, it's bad luck." Luck. Do you believe in like bad luck? More so, do you believe in superstitions?
I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? Like the choices in your life.
You're such a professional speaker, the way you just
No, the choices in your life, right?
that.
Like how you prepare yourself is how your luck is going to be, right? If you're out doing bad things, like doing drugs, whatever, and you end up in jail and you have the nerve to say I have bad luck. No, you don't.
That's true. I get it. Okay.
Like that was what preparation got you. Like that the preparation of all that is when it met opportunity, and that's how that happened.
Yep.
So when you say like bad luck, me personally just have such a strong foundation and faith that I trust that everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
Now I get asked that all the time, like, like such karma for you to get cancer at such a young age and all of this. And I've met a lot of really amazing individuals, and I've had to say goodbye to a lot of really close people in my life. I've been through some pretty traumatic things.
Oh yeah.
And I don't ever think that there's like some sort of sense of bad luck, but I also think that the things that we go through have to be for a reason.
Yep.
Right. I don't want to like accomplish my life mission too quickly, so that way I have my like ticket to heaven. I don't want to do that too quick, right? So I gotta mix in a little bit of rebellion, so I don't. I've joked that God and the devil have a custody battle between me, so they just leave me here. But I think it's like, what do you do with what you've been dished?
Yep.
I could have lived in a woe is me cancer place.
Yep.
For forever. I can own it because I'm 33 surgeries in to stay alive, yeah. Right? I could live in that world. And there are days I could tell you, other than when I'm mentoring other women, I go through my day and I forget that I've had cancer. Yeah. I forget that I've been bald twice. I forget that I've looked like a 12-year-old. Like, it's just a chapter. Yeah. It was just cancer. And someone's like, oh my God, I don't even know how you can think that way. Like, cancer is horrible. And I was like, it is, but really, if you understand and keep in mind that there's a light at the end of that tunnel, that you can get out of that. That's not a one-way ticket to hell. Yeah. Like, that's a round trip. Like, you go there, you visit, you do shit and get the hell out, right? Like, you ain't setting up shop there. Yeah. If you set up shop there, you're going to live there.
Yep.
Don't do that. Like, go on, get on with it. Like, you don't have to stay there. That's a choice.
No.
So when you ask about luck, I think it's all about what you do with it. Like, is it bad luck? No. What are you going to do with it?
So you're not superstitious at all? Black cat, ladder.
Opening an umbrella inside, yeah. I do it all the time because that button, it just, in fact, I could probably find an... It's the thing, like, it's a sparkly thing. I got to see what it does.
Yep.
Of course I'm going to open an umbrella. Like, it's like, what is it, 7 years bad luck or whatever. Luck is what you make it. You can either see the glass half full or you can see it half empty. And I think once you get to a place in your life, and I'm probably just a unique individual, that there are people that are going to go through the life there's like, oh, one more day. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? You have that person, and then you have the next person that says, I have one less day. Yep. So what am I going to do with that one less? Like, your life is going to end at this point, right? And what you do leading up to that, if you start recognizing that you have one less day to get to this day, you're going to start appreciating every single day, the good, the bad, the good luck, the bad luck, all of the things, and like what you're going to do with it, right? Like, you're still going to get to this date. This date is not changing. It's what you're going to do to get up to it.
That was power. I don't even know what to say to that. I like that. I was going to ask you one of my questions in the podcast is that how do you have such a good attitude? But that's it right there. Like, it's going to happen.
Right,
How do you
like
make the
this
most
day
of it?
is coming. It's coming for you. It's coming for me. It's coming for everyone that we know.
Yep.
My only like wish is that I man, kids, that hurt is the one that hurts the most. But you know, having a semi structure in faith, which I have a great faith, but how blessed are we to suffer loss? To have someone close to you that you miss,
Yep.
that is no longer in your life. That, like, when you stop and think about the blessing of that and the ability to carry their legacy on or tell their stories. One of my best friends, and I considered her a sister, she was killed by an impaired driver with her 3 kids in the car. They call me auntie. There isn't a single day that goes by. In fact, January 31st was her 9-year anniversary of her death. And like, those are rough days, but there isn't a single opportunity that I'm not going to talk about her.
Yeah.
I talk about her to her kids all the time.
Yeah.
I think that if you go through that type of loss, man, and if you have a foundation in faith too, the world can be evil, and they were saved from all of that evil that they don't have to experience and they don't have to go through. Like, they don't have that anymore. And to be so lucky to miss someone, man, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to miss somebody that meant that much to me. I'm lucky to miss my dad. I am lucky to have had that. I wouldn't change the 25 years that I had with my amazing dad for 72 with a shitty dad.
Yep.
I don't think that way.
Yeah. That's incredible. I love that concept. That's exactly it. I've never really thought about the loss like that, to where it's an honor, to have known somebody.
It is
somebody. Like, it really is.
For us left behind to have that, to say, man, I'm like, my grief is just happiness unspent. It's because I love them so much. And wow, how amazing is life to have had that connection with someone that you can miss them.
Yeah.
And that you're that human that can say that I miss somebody, rather than somebody, like, you don't want to go through life and maybe your life passes by and no one remembers you. No one talks about you. Yeah. I don't want to live that life. I want people to be like, oh man, that, Stef, she helped me get through a very dark time in my life. I want those. That's where my legacy, that's where my riches are left. Yeah. It's not how much no hearse has a freaking hitch on it. Yep. I've looked. You can't haul that shit with you, but I can leave some pretty amazing impacts.
Yep. Nope. That's all you get at the end of the day. I agree. All right. Final question for you. On the fishing side, we talked about some hunting stuff, but I want to talk about fishing side. I want to know if there's ever been a trip or a single fish that's changed your life, made a memory. You make an impact on everybody. I want to know about a fish that made an impact on you.
For sure. I think fishing is all about who you spend it with.
Okay.
Right. I have been honored to spend some time in a boat with some of the coolest people. I mean, even with Pink Boats for Hope and taking cancer patients out fishing and stuff. It was never about the fish. It was always about who I spent my time with. Okay. We could have caught, 3-inch perch and I would have had a great day. Because let's be honest, a bad day of fishing is still a good day.
People always say that, and as a fishing guide, I'm like, it just doesn't work in my world.
No, not in your world, because as a fishing guide, people expect to take home fish. Got it.
Nope, I get it.
I mean, I've been fishing in Alaska with some of my closest people in my life that I absolutely love, and we had an absolute blast. I got to watch one of my friends catch a king salmon, and that was on his bucket list. To see that happen, and just almost just exciting. But the one fish that changed my life, I guess, was I was a kid. I would say I was probably about 5-6 years old, and we used to the back of my parents' property kind of was really close to a lake, and we always used to fish that lake. In fact, that was probably some of my greatest memories as a kid was we had a 14-foot aluminum Lund with a 9.9 on the back of it, right? Like that was the babysitter. I swear to God, my parents' idea of babysitters was putting gas in something.
Yep.
And that was like how we got through our childhood, whether it be a chainsaw. It's hilarious. Like now you see kids riding bikes with helmets. And I was cutting trees down when I was 4, But we would go ice fishing out on this lake. And I was in a fish house all by myself. Like I said, I think I was about 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, top end. And my dad had visited one of his buddies in another fish house that was like a ways away. Yeah. And I'd caught a really nice walleye. And I got it up, took the hook out, had everything, like put it in my bucket, rebaited my hook, set my hook back down with a little rattle reel or whatever, and I grabbed my bucket and I went over to the other fish house with my walleye, right? And the bucket and walleye. And I go over there and the DNR is there at the other house checking my dad and his friend, whatever, for license and whatever. And my dad was just having a conversation with him about, can I keep a limit for my kids? And the game warden had just gotten done telling him, yes, you can if they can catch their own fish, but you can't catch their limit for them. Yep. And here I had come over with my nice walleye in my bucket because, like, I'm a little peanut, right?
Yeah.
I'm a widow one. Yeah. And I come over there and I was like looking at this officer and I was like, I got walleye. And my dad was like, and then he's like, so does that count as her limit or does that count as my limit? And the game warden was like, she can catch her full adult limit.
That's awesome.
And that was probably like one of the, I did it by myself.
Absolutely.
And my dad was so dang proud of me.
Oh, I bet you're not even there,
Couldn't have even been better timing, right? Like just the coincidence of all of that and the game warden, and he remembered me.
Yeah.
He stayed in the area like his whole career as our
That's awesome.
Local Department of Natural Resources officer, and he'd see me all the time, and he's like, I still remember that story, and it was really great. There was a few times that I was ripping around on a dirt bike too, and he'd see me, and I was like, hi.
I love it. That is a great story. I'll tell you what, thank you so much for coming on. At the end of the day, the stories, the message, the concept, right? You're superhuman of a person, and we appreciate that. And I appreciate what you're doing for me and my family and just everybody that you've touched. But moral of the story, right? You nailed it. You never know when that last day it is, but it's coming. How you treat every moment leading up to that is huge. More importantly, almost than anything, positivity is it, right? Life is how you react to everything. And, again, the reason I wanted to have you on is because my confidence, right? When I go into the field, I have this like extreme confidence, and it shows. It allows me to be successful because when I go on a hunt on the water, whatever, I'm like, I'm going to get that. I've even tried to talk to my kids about that. I'm like, they're like, you're good at that. I'm like, I'm not, but I tell myself I am, and that like winning attitude comes through, and that's what it is.
I think confidence and determination are mirrors of each other, right?
Yep.
But you got to be careful with your determination because that can also do some damage.
I hear you.
Right?
I hear you. Nope, absolutely. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Again, you're like the legend, Miss Stef Hurt. We're gonna have you back on again, but I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for joining me on this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Well, as always, it was great to connect with you. Definitely not anyone that I certainly don't pose a threat. I'm probably one of the most non-judgmental, classy redneck girls that you would ever meet.
Very loud and confident, and she is scary in person.
I am not. I'm a very nice person. I'm a nice lady.
Sure, and I'll tell you about it. Exactly. All right, everybody. I am Nate Zielinski. This is the Source Podcast, officially brought to you by Jiffy Ice Fishing. Huge thanks to Jiffy for all they do and bringing you all of our podcasts every single time. We'll talk to you next week.